Of the board meeting. First thing is, board members, if you'd record your attendance at this meeting, please. Okay, thank you. And we'd like to thank the Independence High School Chamber Choir and the director, Jamie Hawkins, for a great performance this evening. Obviously, the arts are alive and well in Williamson County, so we appreciate their performances. The next thing is the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to ask Deputy Brogdon and Hooper to please come up and lead us in the pledge. If everyone please rise and then remain standing for a moment of silence after the pledge. Thank you. Okay, the next item is the approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Move to approve.
We have a motion from Mr. Wimberly. You want to second?
Second.
And we have a second from Mr. Welch. And we have a Mr. Mitchell's asked for a point of privilege at this time to speak. Sir?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to take a moment to call out an item that we're approving on the consent agenda tonight. It's item, I believe it is 3G or 2G, I believe, 3G. This particular item is being put upon us by the city of Brentwood. They're asking us to pay a sum of $81,000 for the purpose of avoiding a 2-hour water outage in the middle of the night for about 90 homes. And while I'll abide by the guidance of staff tonight to not pull this from the consent agenda, I do believe it's important for the residents of Williamson County to recognize the fact that your tax dollars are going for this for this purpose, and this money could very well and should very well be spent for other items besides continuous running water, to, as I said, to avoid a 2-hour outage of water to a neighborhood of about 90 homes. So with that said, I thank you for the point of privilege, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Board members, we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the agenda. If we do that through a voice vote, please. All in favor, say aye. Opposed?
No.
And we have one no. When we approve the agenda, we also approve our consent agenda at that time, and we approved the board minutes from September 21st. We approved the recommendation for field trip fee requests. We approved the timeline for the 2018-19 budget. We approved the Title IV Part A Student Support and Academic Enrichment Grant and Title III Immigrant Grant. We approved the 2017-18 Student Support Organizations. We approved the textbook adoption committees. We approved the Brentwood High School Access Road and Parking Lot Addition Change Order Number 1. We approved the Fairview High School baseball and softball storage sheds. We approved the Nolensville High School baseball storage shed, and we approved the Sunset Elementary School shade structure, which is an Eagle Scout project. The next item on the agenda is the items of particular public interest and public comment. We have, it looks like 10 people signed up to speak this evening. We're asked that you speak for a maximum of 3 minutes each. When your name is called, please come to the mic at the podium and state your name and your address and your subject area, and then please go ahead and begin your remarks. Everyone, if you'd please turn off your cell phones just in case someone has one on, put it on silent so we don't have any disruption to that. All right, the first person is Daniela Coons.
Should be.
This pen. hold on a second. I'll turn it off and on again. It's on from me.
Is it on?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'm here regarding indoor air quality and safety policies for our Williamson County schools. Dear Chairman, dear school board members, dear Dr. Looney, during the past county commissioners meeting, many students and parents from our Page schools community came forth and helped to ask for funding for phase 1 for the improvements on premises of the Page schools community. I'm thankful that so many came to the meeting and that the funding was granted. The professionalism with which the students described their indoor environment in their daily activities in school was eye-opening. I'm glad that the students did step up to make their voices heard. It is very comforting to know that I'm not the lone advocate in these very important matters. The serious health risks which come with not addressing concerning problems like the ones our students so eloquently listed during the commissioners' meeting cannot be ignored because we lack funding to make safety and environmental health improvements for our students in our schools. We need to come together and find a viable solution, and there are some very good alternatives. The list of some suggested policies I handed out over the past few years, and again so during the school board meetings of June and September 2017, for better indoor air and safer use of less toxic chemicals to protect students from exposures, warrant for our further improvement actions too. There are things which can be done without costing anything, or only minimally so, but are well worth to adopt since it is for the health of our students. I'm asking that we all be proactive to constructively work out a good plan on how to improve safety and health for our students, and I will therefore be reaching out again to meet in person with Dr. Looney and my elected school board member to set a course of action and to see how we can proceed best. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Julie Martin.
Good evening. My name is Julie Martin. I live at 11 Innisbrook Lane in Brentwood. I'm the parent of 3, and I'm speaking on school start times. I'm the parent of 3 teens, a Ravenwood graduate and 2 Ravenwood high school students. The younger 2 are benefiting from the now later start time for high school. I've seen a difference in their academic performance as well as their overall mood. My oldest was starting his junior year when we moved to Williamson County from St. Johns County, which is in the St. Augustine area of Florida. St. Johns County is the top performing school district in Florida. While we lived there, the school board moved school start times later for high schools. They did so by having elementary schools start before high schools. We lived through the change and felt that it was a positive change for all involved. Because younger children typically wake up earlier than teens, it makes sense to have them start school earlier when they are more alert, and which also may allow parents to head to work earlier. For high school students, it meant that school hours were a little more in tune with their biological clocks. It really was a win for everyone and showed that the school board had the health and welfare of the students as their primary goal. I hope that you will demonstrate the same level of commitment to the best interest of our students and consider a plan that has elementary school start before high schools and pushes high school start times to 8:30. I recently listened to a podcast interview of Matthew Walker, the director of the Center for Human Sleep Science at the University of California, Berkeley. He points out that lack of sleep can have serious consequences. Sleep deficiency is associated with problems in concentration, memory, and the immune system, and may even shorten lifespan. He says every disease that is killing us in developed nations has causal and significant links to a lack of sleep. With science telling us that getting enough sleep is important to our cognitive abilities, our immune systems, and ultimately our lifespans, how could we as parents and educational administrators do anything but plan school start times to maximize student sleep? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Beth Mallow.
Thank you very much. I'm Dr. Beth Mallow. I live at 9441 Highwood Hill Road in Brentwood, and I am speaking on school start times as well. As a sleep physician, I would like to commend Dr. Lanie and the board for your focus on child health, emotional well-being in the strategic plan, as well as on driving safety. As you have recognized, lack of sleep can contribute to weight gain, depression, substance abuse, drowsy driving, as well as difficulty focusing in school. Because of the importance of sleep on child health, multiple health organizations have focused on advocating for starting school at 8:30 or later for teens. Now, while homework, extracurricular activities, and smartphones certainly contribute to lack of sleep, numerous studies have shown that when start times are later, teens get more sleep. The later start times are more in sync with their biological clocks, and the kids are more productive and motivated even with the same amount of homework. They're more alert when driving to school, during their first period classes. They have an easier time focusing on the material presented. They are more likely to show up for school and to be on time for school for their first period classes. We all know how we feel, right, when we're sleep deprived in terms of our mood, our ability to focus on our work, and our teen students feel the same way too. Most college campuses do not have classes before 8:30 a.m., and teen biological clocks will shift when they become adults. So therefore, our teens will become prepared for the real world, especially if we give them the sleep they need when they're in school. Delaying school times by 15 to 20 minutes for the 2017 to 2018 school year gets us closer to the 8:30 a.m. or later start time recommendation for middle and high school students. While a small change, it's a great, important step in the right direction, and we commend you for that. The logistical concerns raised by the start time delay are important, and they include transportation, childcare, and athletics. These are all solvable, however, although it's critical that parents, educators, and others have a chance to voice their concerns and ask for viable solutions. The Cherry Creek School District in Denver, Colorado, set up a task force comprised of community stakeholders to develop viable solutions to successfully implement bell time changes. I went ahead and shared copies of their recently published article related to engaging the community and ask that you give thoughtful consideration to this task force approach. Again, thank you very much for your focus on our students' health and well-being. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Todd Solan.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to be here. My name is Todd Solan. I'm at 105 Falls Church Court in the Willow Springs subdivision, part of Rick Wimberly's District 9. President John Kennedy said, "Change is the law of life," and those who only look to the past or present are certain to miss the future. I stand here today looking toward that future, the future that our children face with academics, with their social environments, their after-schools activities, and more. The school district made a schedule change, as we just heard this year, delaying start times. I applaud the change, but I really believe that more needs to be done, as we just heard. Teens go to school too early, not alert, and those that drive, as we've heard, they're a danger to themselves, dangers to all of us on the road. And honestly, I look at my kids and I think, wow, they're really heroes, because they go to school for hours a day, they come home, they study for hours a day. My daughter just had extracurriculars before school started. She just had extracurriculars after school, going all the way late into the evening, well past dinner time. So those types of things. On many occasions, they quite frankly engage in school more than we as adults engage in our employment. So the lack of sleep really hurts, and we've heard all the things that it caused. We didn't talk about heart and kidney disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, stroke. There's all these things. So while the administration, again, acted courageously, and I appreciate that, more needs to be done. I know we're looking at a survey, and I have a few concerns with the, not survey, but the feedback mechanism that we put out there. Number one is we have different populations of school types, types of students. I think the hypothesis is that elementary parents were unhappy, but the high school parents are happy. Let's not forget, and I counted today on the district website, there's a lot more elementary kids in the district than there are high school kids. Number two, those parents that are of elementary kids, they will have high school kids at some point in the future, and they might change. Number three, looking at feedback in this way, there's no statistical validity to it as far as actual marketing goes. And number four, doing what's right isn't always the easy or popular thing to do. But satisfaction with the status quo shouldn't be of consideration when we're making important decisions in regards to health and well-being. Finally, many of the arguments made against later start times involve concerns with sports. And I just want you to know, of the USA Today top 25 high school football programs, 18 start school at 8 o'clock or later. I know it's not the ideal 8:30. 7 of those schools start at 8:20 or later. If you look in football crazy Texas, 63% of public high schools start at 8 a.m. or later. And if you look at the Max Preps, which is a ranking service, top 10 Texas high school football teams, 6 of them start at 8:10 or later. So we hear about sports and that you can't do it and all that, but you can do it because it is being done. Did I hear time?
Yes.
Okay. With that said, one last thing. Let us look not only to the past and present, but let's look at the future, and let's give our kids the rest that they need before starting their day. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Elizabeth Koppenhaver.
Hello, my name is Elizabeth Koppenhaver. I live at 1912 Long Avenue, Nashville, Tennessee. I am a general pediatrician that is passing around a paper titled The Value of Sleep on Athletic Performance, Injury, Recover in the Young Athlete. So a couple pertinent things from this review article that I helped write is that this is an old statistic but still important. In 1975, adolescents reported 1.5 fewer hours of sleep compared to those in as early as 1910, and as technology increases, that lack of sleep is getting worse. Also, 70% of American high school students have less than 8 hours of sleep per night. As far as speaking on behalf of the athlete, injuries are shown to increase with lack of sleep. You have more chance of having error in your decision making, causing you training errors and such like that. Also, the highest cause of injuries in the school age populations is sports related injuries. And then also having more sleep has a theoretical benefit on injury recovery given the hormones that you have in your brain while you are sleeping. And then there also are small studies that show increased performance with increased sleep in collegiate athletes. I would also say that the answer is not going to sleep earlier because teens aren't, their circadian clock is not set like that. So that is all I have to say, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker is Michelle Viscous.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Michelle Viscous. I live at 167 Chester Stevens Road in Franklin. I am a pediatrician. I'm the immediate past president of the Tennessee chapter of the American Academy of Pediatrics, and I'm the parent of 2 teenagers who are current students at Page High School. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my mom heart for making school times later this year, because my 14 and 16-year-olds are way less cranky. And anything that we can do to make teenagers less cranky is a beautiful thing, in my opinion. You've already heard from a few of my colleagues about the medical science behind later start times, and so I won't repeat their comments. As was also stated, I appreciate the logistical challenges that we face in moving start times for high school students, but we all know that those are not insurmountable. They just take a little bit of coordination to be able to work those out. And I would also encourage you to move further with your start times as the benefits from just this short movement this year, I think, have been substantial. I also wanted to say for a moment, because I've heard rumors in the community of, oh, well, they're going to move start times back to where they were after the first of the year. I hope those rumors are false. But I would say that if that were a consideration, if we could pretend for just a moment that start times were always where they are right now, I think with the body of medical literature and what we know about the need for sleep for youth, that we would have a very difficult time making a case for moving start times earlier for high school students. So I would implore that you keep them at no earlier than where they are and hopefully move towards the ideal of 8:30. Williamson County has proven to be a leader in many, many areas, not the least of which is education. And I think we can be leaders of the state in this realm as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Julia Cook.
Hi, my name is Julie Cook, and I am a senior at Franklin High School and a member of Diversity Leadership Project. Last month, I came here with my friend Meredith McMillan, president of the chapter of Brentwood High School, and asked you to support her petition to name the Brentwood Elementary School for Sergeant George Jordan. We were honored that you listened to our collective voices through the petition and the public comments that stirred our hearts. I come before you tonight with a project I've called Got Consent, a teen sexual assault awareness campaign based on the It's On You national campaign, which former Vice President Joe Biden was instrumental in starting. We have recently completed our public service announcement video. We have a copy of it here if you would like to see it, and hope all of you will watch the video, read our pledge, and get behind our grassroots movement to curb teen sexual assault in Williamson County. Would you guys like to see the video?
I'll take your thumb drive. We can't insert it tonight.
You want me to hand to you?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All of us here tonight know what it is like dating in high school and the difficulties of communicating issues of consent and how all of us, boys and girls, expect to be treated. We respectfully ask that you help us get the word out about our project through all high schools, particularly through the familiar voice of Carol Birdsong and her department, and that all school board members use their social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook to promote our campaign and make a difference. We want to build a team of Got Consent activists who will start a movement beginning right here at this school board meeting tonight, right now, and changing lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Jackson Tolbert.
Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Jackson Tolbert. As you heard, I am a senior at Franklin High School. It is great to be here. I'm also speaking on behalf of the Diversity Leadership Project. My partner, Julia, I'm so proud of her for putting all of this together and being the foundation of this, because it provides me a medium not just to spread awareness about sexual assault and consent, but it also helps me to contemplate it on my own terms. This was not originally going to be in my speech, but it was so timely, I really wanted to talk about it. My friend Claire volunteered at Vanderbilt University this summer as a nurse, and she emailed me an emergency alert that she's still getting to her email, that today, Monday, October 23rd, at 3:39 p.m., just a couple of hours ago, the Vanderbilt University Police Department got a report that a female student was sexually assaulted by a male student in a residence hall this past Saturday. And this truly brought forth, like, ambition and put into perspective why I'm here, to share a message, to spread awareness for a message that many people don't really feel comfortable talking about, especially in social settings, because anyone can see a news report on television about an assault or gossip about a situation that happened many years ago in their high school and say, oh, that's too bad, I'm glad that wasn't prevalent in my life. But that's not true, because it's happening right under our noses. In my school, I would love to see concepts of a curriculum related to sexual assault and consent specifically designed towards helping to meet people where they are in order to enact change in our community, increase respect between students, and effectively confront and diffuse tension when it comes to the sexuality of our teenagers. Because when we realize that an issue is a truly tangible circumstance, and when we realize the tangible consequences, but also realize the tangible, possible, and extremely obtainable solutions, we can make a change. This is why I'm a part of the Diversity Leadership Project, and this is why I am here to advocate for everyone to go to diversityleadershipproject.org and sign the pledge to promote our campaign and to make a difference. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Can you repeat that, sir?
Could you give the URL one more time?
Yes, sir. It is diversityleadershipproject.org, and it's going to be on the Got Consent tab.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Lanie Bouvier.
Hi, my name is Lanie Bouvier, and I am a sophomore at Franklin High School. So I'm also the president of the Diversity Leadership chapter over at Franklin High School, and that's been really fun so far. And so I'm now I participated in the video that you got the thumb drive for the Got Consent program, which I'm super excited to be a part of. I feel like that an awareness campaign focused on sexual assault is incredibly needed, as we've learned just in the last one about such recent things that have happened just under our noses. So I think that we also need to learn through this program that how to treat each other with respect and dignity, and I also believe that this will be incredibly useful when we graduate from high school and into college with this knowledge, and we can help spread that in college and also before college and high school here. So I really hope that you guys will get behind our movement here with the Got Consent program and help to forward our webpage, as she asked the very first speech about this, through all of your followers on social media and even through the school districts if possible. And so our goal is to get over 1,000 students to sign the pledge on Got Consent in order to treat each other just nicely and with respect and get consent for things such as this. And to help people observe boundaries in relationships. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Lanie, sorry about mispronouncing your last name, but I'm about to venture into another one. Our next speaker is Sitara Samudrala.
Hi, I'm Seth Otteson. I'm a senior at Ravenwood High School. My address is 9143 Concord Hunt Circle, and I'm speaking on later start times. As far as later start times, I wanted to specifically address how this has benefited me. First of all, I have definitely had less sleepiness in class. Last year, I would fall asleep in almost every single one of my classes, particularly during the first semester, and now I'm paying attention. I'm hardly sleeping in my classes at all, and it's I mean it's which is great, and I would blame this on the fact that I used to blame this on the fact that it might have been the intense load that I've taken upon myself, but it's amazing that I'm having a very similar load this year, and 20 minutes later in the day of just starting school has already made quite a huge difference for me. And I've also been less tardy to school, and I've gotten more sleep overall. And how this has affected my sleep schedule, in fact, my sleep habits in some ways are the same in the fact that after school ends and after I complete my extracurriculars, I would do some homework and then sleep and then wake up in the mornings to complete the rest of my homework, and I would still do that. However, since school has also been delayed 20 minutes later, I am able to complete more work in the mornings. And as far as extracurriculars, I participate in a lot of clubs at my school. I do not participate much in the athletics, but don't worry, I get my physical activity outside of school. But a lot of club meetings have moved to the mornings. And when school started at 7:20, some of them would still be in the mornings, but of course, if they were in the mornings, I would have to get to school earlier, like at 6:50, and now it would have to be about 7 to 7:20. And when it was at 6:50, my participation wasn't as where I want to be in the mornings. Now I'm definitely able to participate in more clubs and attend the club meetings in the mornings, which is great. And as far as a lot of clubs that are competition-based clubs, they have more time and chances to meet in the mornings and in the afternoons, which allows them to become more prepared for competitions and have more practices, which is great for clubs such as mock trial or science bowl. And of course, this is a subject that is very different for everyone. I've asked some of my friends what they believe about this topic, and some of them said that their procrastination has decreased, and I honestly think that might apply to me as well. And one of my friends said that there was more morning traffic. As far as how morning traffic has affected me, I go against traffic in the mornings, but still actually the traffic allows me oh, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that ends our speakers for this evening. Thank you, everyone, for presenting to the board. Our next item is communications to the board. Dr. Looney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. It's delightful to see you this evening. I will just take the opportunity to speak about the school start time issue, given we had a large number of members of the public here tonight speaking on that. There are no predetermined decisions as it relates to this matter. As you know, I took this upon myself to implement this year with a thought process that we would see how it goes. I am not completing or conducting a survey. I'm just simply getting feedback from various stakeholder groups, including this board. I am not inclined to make a quick decision or recommendation to this board as it relates to this topic. I think a reactive decision would be the wrong thing to do for this community. So I do look forward to future discussions, but there is no predetermined outcome about what we may do in the future, whether we do anything at all. So I thought I would give you that information. With that being said, board members, I do want to let you know that we are quickly approaching the 40,000 student mark with in excess of 39,000 students at this point in time. This past week, we had a lot of information that came from the state about our performance as a school district and as schools. And with that being said, I do want to thank you in advance for your consideration of some resolutions that we have before you tonight, so that hopefully we can begin to have conversations with our state Department of Education about swinging the pendulum back towards the center as it relates to assessment and some of the practices that we've been engaged in this state for the last number of years. With that being said, I do want to just pause for a second and take a moment to say publicly that we have the highest ACT score in this district's history. It's been going up for the last 9 years. Our goal was to get to a 24. I'm proud to tell you that we're at a 25.2 average ACT composite. That is only possible because of your leadership and the dedication of our teachers, their parents, and the students that we're privileged with serving. This past week, the state of Tennessee also has recognized school districts for their overall status as a school district, and I'm proud to report to you tonight that we have been identified as an exemplary district as it relates to the Tennessee State Department of Education standards in all 3 categories. So congratulations, board members, and to moms and dads and students. We have been identified as an exemplary school district. In addition to that, I want to now call your attention to the fact that we have 19 schools that have been identified by the state as reward schools, either reward for performance or as reward for performance in progress. Mrs. Birdsong is going to come forward and going to begin identifying those individual schools. We have representatives from them schools here tonight. And I'm going to ask that Dr. Farmer and Mrs. Goodwin come to the forefront, and we're going to ask you to be in the pictures with those schools as as we begin those pictures. And Mrs. Birdsong likely has some additional recognitions of the wonderful students and employees that we have in this district. Mrs. Birdsong.
Yes, sir, I sure do. And we are going to start first off with Stacy Shang. This is Stacy, and she has a perfect SAT composite score. She is a student. She is a Ravenwood student, but not only does she have a perfect SAT score, you all honored her earlier for receiving a perfect ACT score back in September of 2016. So, this is Stacy, everybody. Now we're going to move to athletics. And if you were paying attention last week, and if you read In Focus, you saw that Brentwood High School brought home yet another state championship in volleyball. Your team members are Axie Cummins, Oakley Martin, Mary Oldham, Andrea Osveda, Lucy Pfeiffer, Reese Bailey, Carolee Carmichael, Celia Lamb, Phoebe Young, Bella Blanchett, Shay Eggleston, Tori Carpenter, Garrett Joyner, Sarah Majot, I messed that up, Sarah, sorry, Morgan Carter, Sydney Rexford, Aspen Martin, Annalie Wingo, and Logan Eggleston. Their coach, Barbara Campbell, assistant coaches Angie Noble and Kathy Cram. In middle school, cross country, for the second year in a row, Fairview Middle School brought home the state championship. Bryson Arney, Jameson O'Hara, Matthew Andrea, Jose Perez, Mason Dowdy, Kevin Marquez, and Marco Puckel. Their coaches are Preston Brooks and Donna Dowdy. And we had an individual champion also from Fairview Middle School. The trophies are about bigger than he is, but this is Jose Perez. Also, U.S. Army All-American football team member Max Ray from Franklin High School. His coach is Donnie Webb. Also, with U.S. Army All-American Band, we have two folks who were chosen for that. First, from Page High School, Nathan Monk, who plays the trombone. His band director is Michael Rawson. And from Ravenwood High School, this is Elizabeth Winchester. She is a member of the Color Guard. Mark Kinzer is her band director. A couple of national awards for you. Yes, I said national. This is the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, otherwise known as NATAS. These are the National Student Production Awards. This category is Arts and Entertainment, Cultural Affairs. These are the folks that produce the Emmys. I have a feeling you may see some of these names later on in the entertainment world. This is Jacob Ferguson from Franklin High School, who won in this category. And then here's Jacob again with Bryson Sams, Porter Edwards, Dante Cameron, Ryan Cook, Brandon Kelly, Jack Durham, and Cole Winton. And they won another award in long form fiction. Their teacher is Carrie Thompson. Love me some good old national awards. So, Denise Goodwin and Charles Farmer, if you would come on down right now. And Miss Goodwin, Dr. Farmer are going to assist with the presentation of the awards as we honor our state reward schools for the 2016-2017 school year. And we are going to start with our performance awards. And this is going to be fun because I'm going to call your name, and principals and groups, if you would come up and stand right here front and center, I'm also going to take your picture. So we're going to start with Allendale Elementary, and Cindy Davis and crew, if you're here. And if you see your name, you can get on deck if you want to. Brentwood High, College Grove, Edmondson, Fairview, Grassland, and Heritage. I can ask you to step this way just a little bit and lots of good old togetherness. And Dr. Turner, well, I'm sorry, y'all, but Rebecca, I apologize, but I've got to move your sign. Right there. Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. Okay, here we go, y'all. Sorry, I promise this won't be as painful as this first one. Okay, ready? 1, 2. Look, camera. All right, congratulations. Thank you, Allendale. Brentwood High School. Are you all by yourself? That's all right. That's okay too. Y'all can stand right. You can stand right there, and I'll snap it. Okay. Perfect. Wonderful. Thank you. Congratulations, Brentwood High School. College Grove Elementary School. Oh, you could have brought the baby. Thank you. Congratulations, College Grove. Edmondson Elementary. Edmondson? Oh, okay. Very nice. Congratulations, Edmondson. Fairview Elementary. Brent Oakley. Here comes the Fairview crew. Fish, please. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Nice. Thank you. Congratulations, Fairview. Grassland Elementary. Grassland Elementary? Oh, there you are. Okay.
Nor can the state.
Lots of togetherness, people. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Congratulations, Grassland. Heritage Elementary. Y'all are really going to have to switch. Lots of good togetherness in here. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Very nice. Congratulations. Penrose Elementary. The crowds are getting larger.
It is a big school.
I think we're going for 2 rows here. 2 rows. 2 rows is good.
That's good.
Okay, we ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Congratulations, Penrose. Page High School. Page High School. Looky there. We either have some young administrators or these could be student representatives.
Very good, Birdsong.
Very good. Congratulations, Paige. Perry Creek. Very good. Congratulations, Perry Creek. Renaissance High School. Congratulations, Renaissance. Trinity Elementary. Congratulations, Trinity. Walnut Grove. Very nice. Congratulations, Walnut Grove. So board members, these are your reward schools for performance. We had 13 of those, and now we'll move on to our reward schools for performance and progress. We will start with Clovercroft Elementary School. Congratulations, Clovercroft. Hunters Bend. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Congratulations, Hunters Bend. Nolensville High School. Congratulations, Nolensville. Ravenwood High School. Taking Amy back with you? Okay. All right, you guys. 1, 2, 3. Congratulations, Ravenwood. Scales Elementary School. Well, come on now. Congratulations, Scales. Last but certainly not least, Sunset Middle School. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Congratulations, Sunset. And those 6 schools are your reward schools for performance and progress. Again, congratulations to all of our schools and students and staff members.
Board members, as they leave, just know that they represent the top 5% of schools in the state. Mr. Chairman, that completes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Looney. Anyone have any comments or questions, Dr. Looney? Okay, it's appropriate that everybody's leaving as I'm getting ready to speak. So, the next item is the board chairman's report. Board members, just want to make sure we get these dates on your calendars. The board retreat is scheduled for November 29th from 1 until 6 p.m. The first budget work session is scheduled for February 24th. And I wanted to share with you a visit I made to Renaissance High School a few weeks ago. They're doing some awesome things at that school. I hope everyone get a chance to go visit it. I had not been there in a while. And just go see the type of activities they're actually doing at that school. It's very impressive. So I just wanted to share that. I'm sorry he'd already left so he couldn't hear it. So someone sent him a recording of it. So that's the only things I have, is just to get those dates on your calendar. Any questions? All right, the next item then is unfinished business. Approval of board policy on second reading, 6.409, child abuse and neglect. Dr. Looney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Board members, we haven't made any changes since our discussion. I do recommend approval of 6.409 upon second reading.
Anyone like to make a motion for this? We have a motion from Ms. Emerson, and we have a second from Mr. Mitchell. Any discussion? Okay, I see none. We have the superintendent's recommendation. If you go ahead and record your votes then, please.
Your vote is 12 yes, 0 no.
Thank you. Next item is new business, 7A 2017-18 school board budget. And it's item 1 is 2017-18 general purpose school budget resolution on startup costs for new schools. Dr. Looney?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Board members, just as it states, this is in order for us to be able to start up the new schools when they open. I recommend your approval.
Anyone like to make a motion on this one? We have a motion for Mr. Cash and second, and we have a second from Ms. McGraw. Any comments, discussions? Okay, you have the superintendent's recommendation. If you go ahead and record your votes then, please.
Your vote is 12 yes, 0 no.
Thank you. The next item is the School Board Code of Ethics. Every year we review the Code of Ethics and have our board members sign it and pass it around. And if y'all could pull it up on your computers or up on the board to read it, if you're okay with that, we'd like to read it aloud so everyone can hear it. And Mr. Golan, do we need to make a motion on this?
Yes, sir. The board policy calls for an annual vote.
Okay. Anyone like to make a motion on this one? We have a motion from Ms. Cleveland. We have a second from Ms. Emerson. Okay, then let's go ahead and do our vote, and then if it passes, we'll go ahead and do the reading and the signing of it. Dr. Looney, would you like to make a recommendation on this one?
Yes, sir. I do recommend approval of this Code of Ethics for school board members.
Thank you, sir. Okay, any further questions or comments? I see none. Then if you go ahead and record your votes, please.
Your vote is 12 yes, 0 no.
All right. Thank you. Boys, we'll start over here with Ms. Durham and just read the first section in each article. We'll just go around the room like we've done in the past, and after we read it, I'll pass it around to be signed by everybody. Ms. Durham, if you go ahead and start us with the first section, number 1 on Article 1.
I will at all times think in terms of students first, always determining other important things according to how they affect the education and development of students.
I will seek to provide equal opportunities for all students in academics, the arts, and athletics.
I will fairly appraise and support both present and future educational needs.
I will represent at all times the entire school community and refuse to represent special interests or partisan politics.
I will maintain open lines of communication with the community.
I will refrain from using district resources to actively campaign for any candidate for elected office.
I will support the employment of those persons best qualified to serve in our district. I will strive to secure resources that allow our employees to perform with excellence.
I will celebrate employee accomplishments and refrain from public critique.
I will recognize that authority rests only with the board in official meetings and that the individual member has no legal status outside of such meetings.
I will at all times comply with the Tennessee Open Meetings Act, the Sunshine Law.
I will make final decisions only after full discussion of matters at a board meeting.
I will respect the opinion of other members and will accept the principle of majority rule.
I will attend all regularly scheduled board meetings insofar as possible and become informed concerning the issues to be considered at those meetings.
I will work with other board members to establish effective board policies and to delegate authority for the administration of the schools to the superintendent.
I will refrain from public critique of fellow board members.
I will support full administrative authority as well as responsibility for the superintendent to properly discharge all professional duties.
I will support superintendent accountability for working and requiring staff to work within the framework of policies set by the board.
I will refer to all complaints and concerns to the superintendent.
I will refrain from public critique of the superintendent outside board deliberations.
I will inform myself about my duties and responsibilities and current educational issues by individual study and through participation in programs providing needed information.
I will avoid being placed in a position of conflict of interest.
I will refrain from using my position on the board for personal or partisan gain.
I will take no action that will compromise the board, the district, or administration.
I will respect the confidentiality of information that is privileged under applicable law.
Thank you, board members. I will pass it down if you all will go ahead and sign the last page in the appropriate spot. And here's a pen to go with it. So. All right, thank you very much for reading that aloud so have it as part of our official record. Next item up is board policies on first reading, 4.302 field trips. Dr. Looney?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. This is the first reading of the proposed policy change for 4.302. We've had some robust discussion about this. I do recommend approval as submitted.
Anyone like to make a motion? Motion to approve. We have a motion from Mr. Welch, and we have a second from Ms. Garrett. Any discussion on this one? I see none. We have the director's recommendation. If you go ahead and record your votes, please.
Your vote is 12 yes, 0 no.
Thank you. The next board policy on first reading is 4.60511, graduation with honors or distinction. Dr. Looney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. You may recall that I submitted the waiver to the Commissioner of Education to try to get this stayed for a year. That was declined. We are required to come into compliance with state rules and regulations. I do recommend approval of this. I also will be recommending approval of a resolution to try to have this law altered.
Anyone like to make a motion on this one? We have a motion from Mr. Mitchell. We have a second from Ms. Durham. Any further comments? Mr. Welch.
Thank you. None? Dr. Looney, could you expand on your reason for requesting a waiver from the state? What was the rationale behind that?
Great question, Mr. Welch. For two reasons. One, I believe it should be the local school board that determines how student grades are determined philosophically. Mm-hmm. Two, this change went into effect very late. Our handbooks had already been printed. We had already indicated to our students how we were going to grade courses. Our students had already registered for AP courses in honors and standard, and we were not in a position to timely give them notice prior to the implementation of this new mandate by the state.
So our student handbooks are inaccurate based upon the lack of forewarning by the state currently, sir?
Yes, sir, that's true.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, I see none. You have the director's recommendation. If you go ahead and record your votes, please.
Your vote is 12 yes, 0 no.
Thank you, Board. The next one is C3, 4.802, Student Equal Access. Dr. Looney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and board members. We had really minor changes to come into compliance with law on this proposed policy revision 4.802. I do recommend approval of it as submitted. Once again, this is just first reading.
Would like to make a motion on this one? We have a motion from Mr. Haw. We have a second from Ms. Cleveland. Any further discussions? Okay, I see none. You have the superintendent's recommendation. If you go ahead and record your votes now, please.
Your vote is 12 yes, 0 no.
All right, thank you. The next item is resolution of the Williamson County Board of Education opposing the use of scores from TCAP for grades 3 through 5. Dr. Looney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. We've had lots of discussions about the many challenges related to TN Ready and formerly TCAP across the state for the last number of years. And I mean this with no disrespect to the Department of Education, but we've got to do something different. We can't keep doing what we're doing. This resolution proposes that we ask our legislative delegation to amend the law to exclude TN Ready as part of a student's grade in grades 3 through 5. Moreover, it changes the weighting of TN Ready for grades 6 through 8 to a floor of 10%, leaving high school alone. I do recommend approval of this resolution.
Anyone like to make a motion for this resolution? We've motion from Mr. Cash, second from Ms. Durham. Any comments, questions? Mr. Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Look, just some quick clarification. This resolution is not requesting that TN Ready be given in the elementary school. It's just basically requesting that those scores, which have been over the last 3 or 4 years habitually late, are not used in the students' final grades. Am I correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct. That's correct.
Thank you. Mr. Wimberly.
Dr. Looney, I guess I have 2 questions, if you don't mind. One would be, are we alone in this, or can we expect other school districts around the state to join us in this fight? And I guess the other one is, how does this really impact the students and their families when the grades are issued?
Great questions. The answer to your first question, I believe that there will be overwhelming support from school districts, perhaps from the Tennessee School Board Association, more importantly from parents across the state, to eliminate TN Ready counting towards a student grade in grade 3 through 5. One of the dilemmas that we faced for the last 4 years now is the law says that we have to count it for a grade, but we're not getting the results in until well after the report cards are to go home and the school year has ended. So from a practical perspective, we have a law that can't be met without massaging things, without calling the teachers back. There's a stipulation in the existing law that says if it doesn't come back within 5 days of school ending, you can choose not to count it or not. You know, the reality of it is our teachers work tirelessly with students all year long, telling them how important this test is and that it counts as part of their grade, to in the 11th hour then notify them because the state was unable to return the test scores in time, it then will not count as a grade. I think it does a tremendous disservice to the students and teachers, and I think it creates hostility and a loss of credibility for us as a school district, and quite frankly as the state. So I would much rather, and I think you as well, would much rather tell students up front that this doesn't count as a grade, but it's equally important. And whenever the test scores come back, we're going to look at it, we're going to make instructional decisions on how well you did, but we shouldn't be holding that over 7, 8, and 9-year-olds' heads at the end of the year. The second well, I think I've answered both of your questions at this point in time.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Hall?
Thank you, Chairman. I'm really pleased that we're taking a stance on this. I know it's not necessarily the full-throated objection to all aspects of the emphasis on standardized testing, but I remember fondly as a child when I would go in for an assessment, and all you had to worry about was a number 2 pencil and staying inside the oval. And the emphasis that we've had on testing and preparing for the tests and buying materials and equipment and teaching how to take the test is unfortunate. But I do appreciate the administration, the teachers, and the students who year after year put on a brave face and held up our end of the deal. I wish that the state would do theirs, and I think that this is a good approach to at least alleviating some of the burden. So thank you for that.
Okay. Mr. Welch?
Dr. Looney, what percentage does the current TN Ready exam, or if you could just say for the public, what percentage accounts for at the high school level?
15%.
15%. So using your example where it may or may not count, it's not just theoretically, but very likely there could even be an impact of whether some students graduate from high school and have to take summer exams or pass in the moment based upon the state's ability to process an exam in time and do their part.
Yes, sir, absolutely, and it goes all the way down to the 3rd grade. We require 3rd graders to go through remediation if they don't pass reading and math, and we can't make that determination if their test scores don't come back in time. So there is a domino effect that happens across the district, and the reality is this has been pretty disastrous for our state for the last number of years. And that's not to say that assessment is not important, because I absolutely believe in and value assessment. But when you don't get the scores back in time, or the scores are challenged, or the vendor has made a mistake in scoring the assessment, all the things that we've seen happen, the tests get lost in the mail, I mean, you name it, we've seen it. It's just time for us to start trying to right the ship and go back to a sensible approach of assessment.
When was the last time the state was able to come back with test results at the same time? Was it TCAP, or he doesn't even go back?
I can't remember that far back, sir.
Fair enough.
Okay. Mr. Wimberly?
I guess this is just kind of beyond me. I don't understand why the state wouldn't go ahead and do this without us having to go to the legislature. This just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, so this is Tennessee law. We have to get the law changed. And I don't know that the state will, I do not know that the Tennessee Department of Education will stand in opposition to this. I just know that somebody's got to move the ball. And we talk all the time about being a leader in the state. Well, let's be a leader. Let's get this done.
Thank you.
Any further questions or comments? Okay, you have the superintendent's recommendation then. If you go ahead and record your vote, please.
Your vote is 12 yes, 0 no.
Thank you. The next resolution is resolution of the Williamson County Board of Education to amend letter grading of Tennessee schools. Dr. Looney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. You actually passed a resolution just like this last year. We got that work all the way through the House. It failed in the Senate by 1 vote. And so we believe that there's enough momentum to get it through the Senate this year. Long story short, in Tennessee, under current law, every school in the state is going to receive a single letter grade to identify its quality, an A, B, C, D, or F. It has been our position that you cannot fully describe the quality of a school with a single letter grade. In the same way, you can't describe a student's achievement with a single letter grade across all subject areas. You get a letter grade in reading and math and science and social studies and physical education. And so it doesn't make sense to try to label a school or a district with a single letter grade. And so we believe in holding us accountable. We believe in accurate and transparent reporting, but let's use a system that makes sense and is understandable. So once again, we requested this last year. The House concurred with our desire, and we got it passed through the House. We were one vote away in the Senate, and we believe we can get there. I fully expect for TOS and TSBA to come to support this position again this year as well. I do recommend your approval.
Would anyone like to make a motion on this one? We have Ms. Emerson making a motion. I'd like to second it. Mr. Haas seconds the motion. Okay, any questions or comments? Mr. Welch.
Dr. Lanie, you mentioned several letter grades. Can you give some examples of what those multiple letter grades would be, or what they would be based on, the categories, if you will?
Yes, sir. We're proposing that you would get a letter grade for achievement, that you would get a letter grade for growth, potentially get a letter grade for your ACT score, graduation rate, student attendance.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Cash.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First and foremost, while we're on this discussion of resolutions, I would like to thank Dr. Looney, his staff, every one of those principals that sat in this room this evening, the teachers out there, and the students. Look at the awards this county school system has achieved. Just the ACT score alone. We don't have a lot of problems like so many school systems do. I think what we need to really strive for is something in one of these resolutions, an amendment that will eliminate your higher achieving schools and let them run the their school system locally once they achieve a certain level. And I think that's achievable also with legislation. But I think we need to really start going after that, because I fear with them sitting on us like they are, it can hurt. It can hurt the morale of teachers, staff members, and students. So I just wanted to make that statement. I totally support this resolution, but in the near future, we need to take a step forward and really step out there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments or questions or discussions on this one? Okay, I see none. You have superintendent's recommendation. If you go ahead and record your vote, please.
Your vote is 12 yes, 0 no.
Thank you, Board. Next resolution is a resolution of Williamson County Board of Education, and this one deals with AP credit, dual enrollment credit. Dr. Looney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and board members. This is another example of where we believe the state has intruded on local control. It's our belief that a school system should be allowed to determine what an A is and what a B is and how many grade point quality points you get for various courses. But instead of being able to do that, the state now has mandated that all systems across the state will follow the same pathway. Universities don't do that. Most states don't require this. In Williamson County, a large percentage of our students take AP classes because they're rigorous and they lead to college credit. It's what we have, it's why we have been so successful, quite frankly. Now the state has said, well, wait a second, we want to give more credit to dual enrollment or dual credit courses. But what that does is it de-incentivizes students from taking AP classes. When the U.S. News and World Report comes out, they don't look at dual credit or dual enrollment classes. They look at AP classes. So the state is building a system requiring that we all are treated and act the same way, not giving any consideration to school districts such as ourselves that have a really good formula that's working for our students. I can't imagine why anybody would think it would be appropriate for the state to mandate how we grade students in Williamson County and what value we place on different courses. This resolution would take that authority away from the department and give it back to LEAs.
Okay, thank you. And anyone like to make a motion on this one? Okay, we have a motion from Ms. McGraw, second from Ms. Garrett. Any comments, discussions?
If I may, Mr. Chairman, one thing I wanted to point out to the board, this is a Tennessee State Board of Education policy. It's the state board that's established this.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Wimberly?
Dr. Looney, besides the fact that this again is the state, in this case the state board, mandating that we do something that we probably do superior to a good bit of the state anyway. What can you tell us about the quality of our AP classes compared to dual enrollment, dual credit, the level of rigor? Are our AP classes, are they giving a better education experience than dual enrollment, dual credit, in your opinion?
Yes, sir. And to put, just give you the raw numbers, we have about almost 10,000 AP courses that are offered in our district that kids take. Our pass rate in those courses is about 70%. When I compare, and I'll use statistics as an example, when I compare across the state, the students that enroll in the dual credit stats class, they also have to take the challenge exam to get the college credit. Their pass rate is only about 3% from what I've been told. So if I'm comparing taking an AP class and getting a college credit or 3 college credits and have a 70% pass rate versus a 3% pass rate, and we can control the rigor and the relevance of the coursework, it's a no-brainer to me, and which is one of the reasons we are insistent that the state stay out of local control issues. If we were producing an inferior product, as in graduate, or our students were not able to pass the AP exams after taking the AP course, I would completely understand that the state would say, you have a quality control issue, we need to come and provide direct oversight. But the reality is we don't. We're far exceeding what the state standards are, and we're de-incentivizing our students from doing what we know is right. And Mr. Gaddis, if I misspoke, I want to make sure I don't misspeak on those stats. Is that correct?
Mr. Wimberly, do you have a follow-up?
Perhaps in a moment.
Okay. Mr. Welch?
Thank you. I hate to hog the microphone today, but Dr. Lynn, I just kind of want to go back to those numbers because those are pretty staggering. The 3% versus 70%. Is that what populations are we comparing? Is that both within Williamson County or statewide or what have you? I just want to make sure I understand those numbers.
So I don't have the pass rates for dual credit courses in Williamson County because, quite frankly, we haven't had a lot of students participating in that. We've been identifying students that have the capacity to do AP, and they've been taking it. But now that the state has said, wait a second, we want to increase the quality points that we give for dual credit, therefore incentivizing students to take dual credit, that's going to depress the number of students that take the AP class, increase the dual credit classes. And what we do know about, and I'm using one specific class as an example, the stats class, their pass rate is only 3%.
Okay.
I would consider that at the state level. And so I would consider by anybody's measurement, that's horrible. I can't imagine 97% of my students not passing the class and getting college credit, although it's supposed to be a dual credit course.
Thank you. And then follow-up question. Mr. Golden mentioned that this was the State Board of Education, which I believe is new information. To us, at least, I don't recall that being mentioned at the work session. To clarify, if my understanding of it, the delegate that represents our area, including Williamson County from the State Board of Education, is not from Williamson County. Is that correct, sir?
No, sir. We actually have a new state school board member, and she is a Williamson County resident, and is a fervent supporter of us and the the work that we do.
Wonderful.
The purpose of this resolution is, one, to insist that the state school board, or try to compel the state school board from changing their policy, and if that is not successful, then to seek legislative relief.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that clarification.
Any further questions or comments or discussion? Okay, I see none, and we have a motion and a second on this. If we go ahead and record your votes, please.
Your vote is 12 yes, 0 no.
Okay, thank you. That ends the business of our board for this evening. I thank everyone for being here, and I hope you have a great evening. This meeting is adjourned.